Today, we look at Switzerland and see the ultimate alpine playground. It's a pristine, perfectly manicured sanctuary of ski slopes and mountain chalets. But for thousands of years, this terrain was an active threat. Extreme altitudes and sudden severe weather turned this region into a lethal barrier. Just crossing the mountain passes required early travelers to rely on basic survival gear and expose themselves to constant physical danger on sheer snowbanks. The Alps formed a massive topographical wall across Central Europe, physically severing historical empires of the north from the south. Trade networks moving goods couldn't go straight through. They had to detour hundreds of miles east and west to bypass the mountains entirely. Maintaining this level of access across jagged peaks required a nationwide commitment to vertical engineering. Building a civilization here had to start at the bottom, on the narrow valley floors and along the edges of the natural lakes. These deep glacial lakes offered the only flat, frictionless transit corridors available, allowing early heavy transport and passenger steamboats to navigate easily between isolated settlements. Because flat terrain was so scarce, major economic hubs formed exclusively along these waterfronts. Cities crammed their expansion tightly into whatever level ground the valleys offered. As local populations and the demand for tourism grew, those valley floors ran out of room. The only direction left to build was up. The lakes powered the initial economic engine, but tapping into the true value of the Alps meant leaving the safety of the flatlands entirely. As settlers moved higher up the extreme inclines, they had to adapt their architecture. They placed wooden chalets on elevated stone foundations, locking them firmly into slopes that were highly prone to avalanches. But living on a slope is one thing, getting heavy transport up there is another. Engineers faced the gradient limit, the exact steepness where standard wheeled vehicles simply lose traction and slip backward. To beat gravity, they carved massive looping switchbacks directly into the rock faces. By folding the route back and forth, they artificially lengthened the road and kept the incline low enough for large vehicles to make the climb. Mastering these mid-level roads sparked a massive construction boom. Suddenly, developers could haul enough heavy material up the mountainside to build multi-story hotels deep within previously isolated valleys. Switchbacks solved the mid-elevation problem, but reaching the extreme peaks and glaciers above the snowline required a total reinvention of mass transit. To conquer the highest altitudes, engineers abandoned the surface entirely. They began boring straight through the solid granite core of the mountains to lay track. This diagram maps out the sheer volume of that underground infrastructure. Hidden beneath the rock is a dense, overlapping web of vertical shafts and train tunnels stretching for hundreds of miles. By combining those tunnels with specialized traction rail, heavy trains could connect the valleys directly to the summits, safely carrying thousands of passengers right across frozen glacial passes. The combination of subterranean tunnels and high-altitude rail effectively erased the topographical wall. What was once a deadly hazard became a safe, reliable destination. Usually, when humans build massive infrastructure to guarantee mass accessibility, the process displaces the natural ecosystems that people came to see. But the specific choices made here, using tunnels instead of clear-cutting forests, and relying on precise rail networks instead of sprawling highways, kept the surface footprint incredibly small. The result is a landscape where humans can safely experience extreme weather in large numbers. Large-scale leisure complexes sit seamlessly inside high-altitude, sub-zero environments. Because the transportation systems are strictly contained, the surrounding valleys, seasonal wildflowers, and local wildlife continue to thrive right next to the transit hubs, entirely undisturbed. The Swiss Alps prove that high-density infrastructure can coexist with a fragile environment. By moving with the geography instead of fighting it, they transformed a lethal geographical barrier into a functional extension of human civilization.